Two archaeologists are going to get married, right? And one of them wants to buy the other a wedding present. So what does he get her? A silver trowel, a pair of floral Wellingtons? Not even close. He buys her this. This wreck was all that remained of Scargill Castle, a stronghold in a lawless, violent landscape that was fought over for centuries by English and Scottish kings. Now, after 10 years of loving restoration, the gatehouse looks like this. And the new owners know that the Scargill family was once a powerful dynasty, they played host to a king, and they lived here for over 400 years. And yet, in spite of all this obsessive investigation, no one knows what Scargill Castle looked like in its prime. There's only one way to reveal a true picture of this home of the Lords of the Wild Frontier, isn't there? And that's to dig it. And we're quite good at that, aren't we? For centuries, Scargill sat on the tip of the North Riding of Yorkshire before boundary changes moved it into the county of Durham. And it's probably that rather boring piece of central government legislation that saved this gatehouse, because that's when Niall Hammond and his wife-to-be first heard of it. We can't really call you two enthusiastic amateurs, can we?
Well, no, not really. I've been working in archaeology a good number of years, and at the time we came here, I was the county archaeologist for Durham.
It would be impertinent to ask you how much it costs, so how much does it cost?
It was a bargain at any price.
Is that what we're going to get out of you?
Exactly, yes.
Look, this is the state of it when it was bought as a wedding present. How did you feel about it?
I was thrilled to pieces to get it, but it was also tinged with quite a bit of panic because it looked like it was going to fall down and I thought it might kill somebody in passing.
What was it, apart from that attracted you to it?
Because as an archaeologist, you live archaeology, you breathe archaeology, and here was an opportunity to own something that is a scheduled monument. And the more we explored it, the more we restored it, the more questions we had about it.
We feel we've done as much as we can by looking at the upstanding remains. We've got the gatehouse, lots of upstanding walls scattered around us. We think we've got the remains of a tower, but we need some, some good hard dating evidence. When does the castle start? 12th century? What happens when it goes out of use in 16th, 17th century?
But we're not just looking for the 12th century origins of this gatehouse. We also want to find what's left of the rest of the medieval castle it was an entrance to. And over at the front of the gatehouse, Mick's wasted no time in opening a couple of trenches and stamping all over the good name of Scargill Castle.
I'm not sure we're dealing with a castle, actually. I think it's more of a fortified manor house.
Hang on. Caroline and Niall bought a castle. It said castle on the OS map.
I know it does.
We've only been here 5 minutes. We're going to bring their wonderful wedding present crashing to its knees.
But it isn't really like a massive, great structure. It's more like a house with a wall and perhaps a gatehouse around it, whereas a castle really is a much bigger structure. It's a difference in scale, enormous difference in scale.
If it is a fortified manor house, then shouldn't it conform to a particular shape? Shouldn't we know what we're looking for?
More or less. We know we should have a great hall, we should have lodgings, kitchen, the gatehouse, etc. But it's not quite working properly here at the moment.
Why not?
Well, the gatehouse, for a start, it's a rubbish gatehouse. Defensively, it's a very nice gatehouse, but defensively, you don't have big windows in it. You don't have a chimney sticking out the side of it. It doesn't really work as a defensive gatehouse.
I think they're being a bit harsh. Lots of manor houses have been called castles over the centuries, and it certainly doesn't make Scargill any less of an intriguing target, because the trenches Mick has put in suggest we're looking at a substantial complex that survived here for centuries.
It is a conundrum, this place, and these two trenches are a good example. You see the top there, there's a wall comes off the gatehouse, running across this bank here. But just in front of it, about 2 or 3 metres in front of it, there are the foundations of another wall, sort of parallel with it, but about 3 feet away, and a much more massive wall. So clearly that's not right. One of those must be earlier than the other one. It's an example of the sort of confusions we've got all over this site that we've got to sort out.
I'm still reeling with the fact that it's not a castle and it's a rubbish gatehouse. I'm not telling Caroline. I think I'll leave that to Mick. These two massive walls built close together are just the tip of our archaeological iceberg. A lot of the surrounding sheep farm appears to have been built with bits of fine medieval stone. And I suppose we shouldn't be surprised. History records Edward II staying at Scargill in 1323. And kings expected the grand houses they visited to be, well, fit for a king. And that's just one mention of a family that made their presence felt through centuries of British history.
I've had a quick look at the Victoria County history, and it's got an immense list of people de Scargill, with footnotes showing that they turn up in the pipe rolls and in the close rolls and in the charters and so on. So there's lots to get your teeth into there. But the best, earliest reference is 1171, when we've got Warren de Scargill working for the king. He's the kind of project manager on the king's refurbishment of Bowes Castle, which is just a few miles away.
I love the idea of a Scargill being the king's man, because as soon as you say Scargill to me, who do I think of? The legendary Arthur Scargill urging his miners to stand up against the government and the police. You don't really think of him as a king's man, do you?
I know, I wonder if you'd be horrified to think that he presumably is descended from the same group of toffs that held this place.
But it would seem the archaeology on this site isn't confined to the 400 years that Arthur's ancestors were here, because Niall and Caroline's beloved gatehouse isn't as medieval as it looks. Really impressive gatehouse, beautiful new gates installed by Caroline and Niall. But when you go inside, you can't get out the other end. It's blocked off by a huge wall.
That's because we think in the 19th century it was reused as farm labourers' cottages, so this makes it into a room essentially. There are a lot of other puzzles. For example, it looks like the only place to hang the gates is halfway in, which is a very thoughtful gesture towards anyone attacking it to keep them out of the rain.
Richard, what's your first thoughts, having had a look at this place now?
It's a rubbish gatehouse. Defensively.
Just insults from everyone.
At this rate, this is going to be the first one-day time team we ever do.
As you say, it's got no sign at all of having gates at either end of it, and only bank slap in the middle.
Yeah.
It implies it's not built for proper defence. It's built as a status symbol of some description. It's built to impress.
And the timbers along the roof, as you can see, they're quite highly decorated, which again seems an odd thing to do if you're just a defensible structure.
Have you got a date for this building?
Yes, we got a dendro date of about 1560, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, because isn't that after the Scargills have stopped living here?
Exactly. The Scargill line has died out, but there seems to be this massive investment in building this structure.
And the gatehouse may not be the only Tudor building on the site.
Richard, I mean, obviously this looks like a fireplace to me.
Yeah, that's the fireplace, all right.
Because in the farmyard behind it is something that looks like it was built after the Scargills died out.
So, but it looks like it's actually a Tudor arch, because it's quite shallow. You can see it coming up here, beginning, but it's going at that kind of angle. So it's 16th century, something like that.
I think if we put a trench through, we should see any earlier walls and features, shouldn't we?
Well, that's it.
So our third trench goes in over what looks like another later Tudor building. This may seem a bit perverse, considering that we want to find the remains of the medieval Scargill manor.
We'd rather come a bit this way rather than go too far that way.
But it does make archaeological sense. Manor houses were laid out to a basic pattern. And even though they may have been rebuilt over the centuries, a number of key buildings, such as the gatehouse and the Great Hall, would remain in roughly the same place. We suspect the medieval gatehouse is directly under the Tudor version, so unfortunately that's out of bounds.
Hey Phil, we've got a plaster up against this wall.
Oh, that's the first discovery. That's nice.
Beautiful.
But if there's a medieval hall to be found here, there's a very good chance it's under this exquisite piece of Tudor architecture.
Ah! Got the fire still, look.
That's cool.
I want one of these at home.
Hope you help.
Actually, I wouldn't fit it in, actually.
Lunchtime day one, and while the archaeologists are beavering away outside, I'm up here in the incident room. And I have to say that as incident rooms go, this has got to be one of the strangest and most exhausting of the lot. We've got graphics and maps up the top. On the palatial ground floor, Geophysical are beavering away, and in the middle, basking in the warmth of this fire, which on a day as freezing as today is a very welcome relief, are all the documents in our history team. So, Helen, I can see you've got a big black book with the words Domesday and book on the spine. Does that mean that Scargill's mentioned in it?
It is, but incredibly briefly, and it's quite hard to understand.
It says that Scargill is worth 3 carucates.
What's a carucate?
A carucate's as much land as a team of 8 oxen could plough in the course of a year. But they weren't ploughing at that time because it also says that the land is waste.
So when does the name of the Scargill family start appearing?
We've got a definite Warren de Scargill in the 1170s, and from then on, they run right through this family until Tudor times, when they end up with 2 daughters, one of whom marries into another family, the Tunstall family, and Scargill then moves into a different dynasty.
What about the place itself? Do you have a plan for it?
No, we are finding it incredibly hard to find out any details about this actual place. So it's going to really be the archaeology that helps us to get the clues to build up what it might have looked like.
So now we're attacking the site from 2 directions, with the history starting at the origins of Scargill and moving forward through the centuries.
Agnes, killed by accident at Richmond, splashed with boiling lead and died 8 days after. Poor thing.
And the archaeologists beginning with the last phase of building and moving back through time. Let's just hope they meet somewhere in the middle.
Oh, looky, looky, looky.
Anyway, we're off to a flying start in Trench 3.
There it is.
As Phil and Tracy have just hit the hearth of the Tudor fireplace.
Oh, look at that. This shovels off nicely now. It's shelling peas.
We're also uncovering more of the substantial walls outside the gatehouse.
We've got 12 on there.
All of this is vital information for our graphic recreation of this site.
And I pulled in 4 different manor house sites from different periods. So we've got 12th century, 13th, 14th.
Now, as far as Richard and Raysan are concerned, all the archaeologists have to do is work out what walls belong to what period, and they can do the rest. It all seems so simple when you're sitting inside in front of a computer.
Well, that fits quite nicely, doesn't it?
Faye, you managed to sort out this trench yet?
I think we have, actually. We've got the wall coming in here.
Well, that's this here, is it?
Yes.
And presumably that's the same as that one there?
Exactly. And we've also got the inside of a room, the surface coming in here.
Is that what that flagstone is?
I think so, yep. And then we've got another wall coming in here.
Just there, that's been
Yep.
sort of rubbed out, is it? Hang on, if you've got a wall there,
Yep.
and we've got a wall here, it's a pretty thin room, isn't it?
Possibly, it could be a very little room for little people.
Another thing, if this is our wall here, why has it got just one window right up the top of it?
I don't know.
Faye, I asked you whether you'd begun to sort this trench out
I
yet.
have done.
The real answer is no, isn't it?
I found the wall. That's what you told me to look for.
Well, if the room really is this small, you could find me the loo.
We've got the bath already.
You have? What a fine archaeologist.
Phil, I just hear constant happy rumblings from this end of the trench.
You always hear satisfied rumblings from me, Mick. How about this? This is the gem, this Tudor fireplace.
Yeah, it's looking really nice.
Oh,
And
crikey, you've actually got the sort of threshold at the front of it now.
And you've got some finds out of the ashy stuff, haven't you?
we are, yep. We've actually got window glass.
Great.
But the major advance in this trench here is this whacking great wall here. And you see it.
But Phil's only started with this trench as he's begun to uncover other walls which may belong to an earlier building.
Yes, I mean, I think this is really exciting because I think what we've got, the Tudor hall here with the big impressive fireplace, but immediately next to it, I think we've got a much older building, maybe 100, 150 years older, a defensible tower, which is the walls you can see to the rear here, which are much more massive.
All this lot here?
Yeah. So if you were anyone of substance in the border counties in the 14th and 15th centuries, you'd have had a defensible tower.
You're thinking this might be medieval rather than Tudor then?
Fingers crossed, this should be medieval.
Niall's theory that there may be an earlier tower here is based on the thick lower walls in some of the sheep pens. And now, thanks to Phil's work and the latest geophys, it would seem he may be right.
It looks as if there's a big corner of a wall or something in there, look. We need an area opened up in here to test that out.
Well, we don't need a separate hole, Mick. Why don't we just link the two together and make it one big hole?
Fine. Shouting at me again.
Finding evidence of a medieval defensive tower would be fantastic. This part of Britain was raided, attacked and fought over for centuries as the English and Scots battled for control. And the family living at Scargill would have been well aware of the threat of incursion.
In that year, this is 1318, not long after Easter, the Scots burnt the town of Northallerton of the church and the surrounding countryside. Wasting and spoiling the land, they reached Bolton Abbey and looted it.
That's a long way south, isn't it? And have you seen this picture of Victor's?
It's splendid,
It's
isn't
fantastic, isn't it? I mean, that looks like our manor house up there, and
They're dragging a poor cow with them. It's said that they would kill cows and boil up the meat in the hide of the cow.
Oh, golly. Yes, I suppose cows represented wealth, didn't they?
And food.
Yes.
Is that stone or pot, Matt?
Looks like a bit of pot, bit of green glaze there.
So what sort of period is that?
I would say that's late medieval, kind of 1400 maybe. So that makes that quite an old wall.
Back out at the gatehouse, the trenches are continuing to produce big, substantial walls. And they certainly seem chunky enough to withstand a medieval Scottish attack.
You see these big stones here, here, and here. So it's coming down there, and then they go off this way. So you're actually looking at a corner of a wall, which is why you don't see it coming all the way down here.
How does that tie into the walls around Faze Trench?
Well, if you look just to the north of Faze Trench, there's a small line of face stones just sticking out from the grass.
Yeah.
The line of that follows exactly down here, lines up with this edge here.
Looks like a pretty big building.
Yeah, well, it'd be huge, actually.
But you don't know yet how that ties in with the gatehouse?
Not yet.
That's one of the problems with big chunky walls. They can be almost impossible to date by themselves. What we need are finds or architectural styles we can date. So we're now extending our Geophys survey in the hope we may find some likely targets to get us that evidence.
It's paved, isn't it? In a very rudimentary way.
So at the end of day one, we may be no closer to answering Niall and Caroline's questions about the origins of medieval Scargill.
Well, there's no mortar in it, it's just a load of stones sort of flung in.
But we certainly know an awful lot more about the Tudor history. This is a bit good, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. What a first day. I mean, look, there is this wonderful Tudor fireplace, and we've even got the last remains of the final Tudor fire.
Caroline, come here a minute. What do you think of that?
This is absolutely brilliant. A fire. You can almost feel the warmth of the flames, can't you?
And it's all yours.
Yes.
This really is a lovely piece of archaeology. It's like a time capsule, one moment just frozen in the ground. But that's not all. John's just shown me this Geophys. This thing is out there somewhere. What is it? Is it a tower? Is it a pond? Look at that fantastic Tudor fireplace. Every so often, you get an episode of Time Team where you start out with one little trench, and by the end of the first day, you've got a Pandora's box of fabulous archaeology. This is Scargill Castle in County Durham, and in addition to the fireplace, over here, you've got echoes of the medieval manor house, which was once on this site. And look at this Geophys. Last night, this mysterious circular structure appeared somewhere over there. What is it? Don't know till we dig it. I'm really enjoying this one.
Join a thriving worldwide community of Time Team fans on Patreon.
Our new target is to reach 15,000 worldwide supporters on Patreon by the end of 2025. This will enable us to continue expanding the Time Team world with more digs and greater access than ever before.
Well, I may be enjoying it, but there are plenty of other people who may disagree. With potentially 500 years of occupation to investigate, we may have any number of manor houses built on top of one another. And that's an awful lot of work for the archaeologists. The good news is we've certainly found loads of walls. The bad news is we haven't the foggiest when any of them were built.
We need to resolve this wall through here with this one across here.
I never know what resolve means in that context.
We don't know which is earlier than which.
Oh, all right, I understand that.
If that's the earliest, then we'd expect these to butt up to it. But the only way we can do it is look under where these boulders are.
Lifting these boulders to work out how one wall joins up to another Seems like an awful lot of effort.
Oh, way.
It's looking really easy, isn't it? I'm a bit embarrassed that we've made such a fuss about it.
Yeah.
But Mick assures me that work like this will be key to discovering the medieval layout of the site, as measuring the thickness of the different walls and deciding in what order they were built may be the only evidence we can use for dating. And the perfect example of this is over in Phil's trench, where he's now uncovered the remains of a Tudor hall.
Fantastic flagstones.
I know, it's hard to believe that we thought they'd been ripped out and reused somewhere else, but we've got this superb floor, and what we've actually got here is much, much more detail. Now, we've got what look like Tudor bricks. They are actually earlier than the plaster, so the plaster is sitting on top of them. And this plaster becomes absolutely crucial because it does come all the way around here.
All the plastered walls surrounding our magnificent Tudor fireplace measure just over 1 metre in width. But what's got Phil really excited is that he's discovered they're built on top of an earlier, much thicker wall.
What you're standing on, we think here is probably a block doorway.
So this entrance was here before the Tudor building?
Exactly.
Hang on a minute. Is this the thickest wall I've seen in many a long day?
You notice.
What are you doing there, Helen?
What I've started doing is cleaning up this rubble, which was revealed when this opening was cut through to make a farm access.
So that's a different knocking through, not that one?
A different one, yes. Yeah. There's everything going on here. So what we want to be able to see is how this wall relates to the thicker part of the wall where you are, which is actually going off at a slight angle.
So does this mean that this is only one wall, or is it a whole series of walls that have been glued together over time?
At the moment, Tony, we are really banging our head against the wall because we really don't know. What we think might be at the moment is that this is going to be the earliest wall.
Yeah.
And then possibly it was remodelled and the fireplace was built in the Tudor period.
So this possibly might be medieval. Somewhere over there you've got Tudor.
Possibly.
So Phil's going to extend his trench to try and uncover more of this earlier, thicker wall. As the more medieval walls we uncover, the clearer the layout of the medieval manor will be.
Just when we get to the end of the trench, the little surveyor turns up.
And that's why Matt is also opening a trench next to Phil's, as Niall and Caroline, the archaeologists who invited us here, believe there's strong evidence that some of these standing remains once belonged to a medieval defensive tower.
Stop for a second, have a quick look. We're pretty much on it there, Ian.
And we're not just looking at the holes in the ground.
You see these sort of big gaps between the stones here, they're quite crude.
We think many of the walls of the sheep pens started life as part of earlier, grander buildings.
Well, this is obviously earlier than this. I mean, it looks like a fine Tudor, possibly blocked window, but that's inserted into this bit.
So this is earlier?
This is earlier.
Right,
yeah,
right.
So...
Now, if that's earlier, could that be part of Niall's tower that we're looking for?
It could be. I mean, you know, it's certainly medieval.
And with the new trenches open, we can finally get round to investigating the mysterious geophys result on the plateau.
Yeah. And what are we thinking it is?
I mean, it could be a capped well. Could be a dovecot.
I mean, somebody said a pond or a well.
Because we can't work out what it is just by looking at it.
I'm slightly concerned that it's not actually round.
Right.
I'm slightly concerned that this is an artefact of the processing.
So it may not be a circular structure?
It may not be.
It may not be, OK.
I'm just flagging that for the record.
All right,
so we're looking for a circular square that may or may not be a dovecot or a well.
Yeah.
That's
it. Bomb crater?
So Trench 5 goes in over this round, or potentially square, feature, as we're hoping it may turn out to be a fancy piece of medieval architecture.
We think this is the original crossing point of the river, which then led on up to Scargill.
We suspect that as you approached medieval Scargill, you would have been presented with an impressive manor complex.
This is the picture that people would have seen.
Very, very impressive.
As Niall and Caroline's years of research have found numerous references to the Scargill's dealings with medieval royalty. including playing host to a king. So we haven't got a castle, we've got a manor house. We haven't got a medieval gatehouse, we've got a Tudor one. But we do at least know that a king stopped here, don't we?
Oh dear. I'm afraid I might have been guilty of being a little over-optimistic. I was using an impeccable source. This is the Victoria County history. And you see here it says, entertained King Edward at Scargill in 1323, except they prefix it with probably.
Oh, I didn't know there was a probably. Tell us about the probably.
Well, it's very understandable that they said that, because if you take the close roll, we know from this that Edward II issued a writ from Scargill on September the 26th, 1323. That looks solid.
That's done and dusted, surely.
The problem is with the itinerary.
What seems to be going on is we know he's at Barnard Castle here, and there's our little gatehouse, we're just south of that at Scargill.
Yeah.
They first of all go over here to Richmond, and then down to Kirby Malzard, further south to Dacre, then apparently right back up to Scargill, and then down to Skipton, right down here. It just doesn't make any sense, does it?
But could he have done it? Because we can't deliver another bombshell like this about Caroline's wedding present without being absolutely sure.
It's crazy. I mean, it's the crazy bit of the route where you're going right up the hill and back down again. I've looked at the actual profile of that.
So we're going to get our surveyor Henry to work out just how far a medieval king and his retinue could travel per day.
So I don't know what the actual retinue consists of.
It's huge. We'd be talking of at least 300 people. And you're talking about something like 8 to 10 long carts carrying all the belongings, the equipment, the food.
But it's not a straightforward task, because when a king visited a nobleman's house, he brought his whole court with him. And it was such a big operation that different parts of the royal circus travelled at different speeds.
The royal household is divided into various sections. There's the biggest would be the wardrobe, the chamber, that would be the next biggest. The privy seal, that really is quite small.
So they can move quite rapidly, I'd imagine.
They could.
This could take quite a while.
You step back and you've got this massive wall here, which, as you can see, is clearly a continuation of the wall in the trench behind me there.
Back on site, and oblivious to the doubts being cast on Scargill's medieval history, Niall thinks we may have uncovered another pre-Tudor building.
Yeah, I mean, that fits in very well with what will be the south wall of the Tudor hall with a big fireplace. But it's only maybe about 90 centimetres. This wall over here, though, this is about 1 metre 40. This is probably earlier, probably medieval. Now, we've got a nice finished face here, so hopefully this is a doorway, and then the wall should continue. Now, if it does, your wall running through here should have a relationship with it, which will give us a dating.
There's now just a few hours of day 2 left, and we've no shortage of walls, some of which look very big and medievally. But so far, we haven't found much archaeological evidence of medieval life. Because for such a supposedly long-lived medieval site, there are very few finds. Almost everything that's come up so far has been Tudor.
We've got the Tudor gatehouse. These, although they may be older, certainly were around in the Tudor period.
Yeah, of course.
A Tudor fireplace, and maybe these walls at the back are Tudor.
As the end of day 2 approaches, there are dark murmurings among some of the team that there simply isn't the evidence to suggest the Scargills built a major house here.
Interesting, when we go on to the medieval period now, we've certainly got a piece of wall stuck in the corner of Matt's trench, which seems to lead through the top of Fays all the way into those back walls. And I suppose we can say that there's a bit of wall running in front of the gatehouse at the moment. So can we predict where the hall is, for instance?
I don't think so.
What about the tower?
We haven't really got footings to show we've got a tower at all at the moment.
So there's nothing at the moment we can really extrapolate from this?
Not really, and we can't even prove that first phase, the earlier phase, is medieval. We've got no dating evidence for it whatsoever.
Wow.
And as if to add insult to injury, the history isn't really supporting the theory that the Scargills occupied this place over a long period.
Here's the reference. William de Scargill, John de Burton, taxes in the West Riding, the said county.
And what date is that?
That's 1335. And it looks as if his interests have shifted, acquiring new, rather better lands further south.
Yeah, safer as well. So we've got an awful lot of problems here, haven't we? Because you've got marauding Scotsmen, your lord has essentially left.
I think this early 14th century is going to be disastrous as far as Scargill is concerned.
It's at times like this you can turn to only one man. Phil, your trench seems to have taken on a life of its own. You started out back there somewhere, you discovered the flagstones, then you got the entrance through here. Now you've got a wall down there, you've got two walls there, and it's still heading off in that direction.
Oh my God, it's been worth it. I mean, look, first off, you remember this morning I told you about a doorway?
Yeah.
Well, I think that this is all medieval. I think that this is a later period, possibly still in the medieval.
So all this wall is medieval, right up to where those roots are, and then you've got two walls here.
Exactly. That one there, I believe, is the earlier of the two, and I think that it's probably Tudor. It's very, very much like the build that we've seen elsewhere on the site. But what has happened is that at a later date, they've punched a hole in it through there and built round here. It's a rubbishy old build, but I think it's much, much later. So I think we've got three phases. We've got the medieval, we've got the Tudor, and then we've got this extra bit on the outside.
Why do you say that's Tudor?
It's very much like the masonry we've got in the hallway, and it's later than the medieval.
Phil may find himself in a minority by continuing to use the word medieval. But as we came here to investigate the medieval origins of Niall and Caroline's castle, I'm going to stick with him. I thought when we came here that we'd be looking at a medieval building. And in fact, what we've got is a medieval building, a Tudor one on top of it. We see loads of the Tudor and just tantalising glimpses of the medieval light in this wall. So what do we do tomorrow?
The main thing is we've got to go down by the medieval walls and just try and get some pottery to get some dating for this medieval phase.
Without extending this trench anymore?
We're not going to go any further.
If you'd like to see more episodes like this, you can make it happen.
Our new target is to reach 15,000 worldwide supporters on Patreon by the end of 2025. This will enable us to continue expanding the Time Team world. Enjoy front row seats for the greatest show on Earth and under it.
Beginning of day 3 here at Scargill Castle in County Durham, and among all this sheep there is a feast of archaeology. There's lumps and bumps, there's standing archaeology over there, we've got half a dozen trenches, not to mention, Mick, this fantastic geophys that came up last night.
Yeah.
The problem's going to be where not to dig, really, isn't it?
Well, that's right. I mean, there's loads of targets on there, but I think there's one that we're bound to go for.
Go on.
I think really we have to go for this enclosure that comes round here.
This is where?
It's this earthwork you can see along here.
Along there, yeah.
And then it turns that sort of rounded corner, goes under the wall.
Oh, it's in both fields?
Yeah, and it's very rectangular playing card shape. Looks just like a little Roman fort. But, I mean, there's loads of other things we could do if we were going to be here for 3 months, you know.
We've got 1 day left. Well, hopefully something on this plateau will give us the break we're looking for. Because at the moment, we haven't really found much evidence of Scargill's medieval history.
We've got quite a lot going on in this trench. If you look behind...
We've uncovered a network of walls and are slowly but surely establishing which ones belong to a sizable Tudor manor.
Yeah, that's the hall with the big fireplace. This probably the parlour.
Right.
So we need a door through.
But we've also discovered even more substantial walls below these rooms, suggesting the Tudor house was built on something earlier.
If you look, we've got these stones down here, and they're pretty compact. I'm willing to say floor at the moment.
Any finds?
What do you think? Nothing at all yet.
See, this is very typical of 16th century Cistercian ware.
But try as we might, we still can't find any conclusive dating evidence that the Scargill family built a manor on this site in the 12th century and then lived here for another 400 years.
So, but definitely 16th century for that.
Oh, yes, yes.
Almost everything we've been able to date is Tudor.
If I turned up on my van with all this in a box in the back and said to you, what dates this site, what would you say?
I would say broadly 16th century.
And if I was to twist your arm and tread on your toes and say, stretch it as much as you can?
Well, possibly late medieval, 15th century.
Any feature we can positively date to the medieval period will make a massive difference to this dig. Yesterday, we had high hopes for the trench we put in the plateau over this intriguing circular feature. Could it be full of pieces of lovely datable pottery or coins?
It's a big hole in the ground and somebody's put a cow in it. Look, there's the shoulder blades, there's both sides of the ribs, and then you've got the head out that way, legs out that way, and the tail around the back.
Ah.
It's a big depression or a pond or something that's just been filled in with stones.
Depression's the right word, isn't it, Stuart? We thought we might have something interesting like a dovecot here, and we've got a dead cow.
Well, not really. I mean, what it's done, it's led us to investigate this area up here. Now, what Ian's found here is a clay bank, and this is part of a series of regular linear features which occupy this rectangular platform here.
The platform is mixed Roman fortlet.
Sort of. What this platform actually is a barmkin.
What's a barmkin?
It's an enclosure, a rectangular enclosure that get attached to a medieval fortified house.
So you do think that there was a medieval structure here at some time?
Oh, almost certainly at some point, yeah.
And we wouldn't have known that, would we, if it hadn't been for Daisy? Thank you for your sacrifice, Daisy. At last, some support for the owners, Niall and Caroline's view that Scargill Castle was indeed once the site of a defended medieval manor.
I hear you've got something like a pumpkin or a bumpkin or something on the site. What's this all about?
A bumpkin. A barmkin.
A barmkin. Right, what's that then?
Well, it's a term used in Scotland mostly and in northern England. Inside it, we'd expect to find sheds, workshops, that kind of thing.
And would it have had a wall around it at the time?
I think almost certainly, because it's a fairly lawless territory here to some extent.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
And it's some way you can bring the animals in as well and give them protection. So I'd expect to see a stone wall around this thing,
Right.
yeah.
But as day 3 progresses, all our work in the trenches and the incident room seems to debunk the medieval history of this site.
That's the route. I thought that was going to be the county boundary.
Well, it gets even more crazy when you look at the route from Scargill back to Skipton.
Yesterday, we started to investigate the claim that Edward II visited Scargill Castle as part of a tour of the north in 1323. Probably the best historical evidence we have for a grand medieval building on this site.
How far is that?
That's over 80 miles.
How far would the royal retinue have been able to go in a day?
I think you'd expect 10 miles or so.
What about if it is just the king essentially nipping off on his own?
I think he might manage 20, perhaps even 30 miles a day, but no more than that.
And how many days have we got for him to make his way up to Scargill and back?
He left Dacre on the 24th. The next date we've got is Scargill the 26th.
So that's completely impossible.
This is totally and completely impossible. It just could not happen.
This is devastating news. And what's worse, the work the team have done has identified another stronger candidate for the medieval Scargill Castle.
1359, we've got a reference to our Castle of Scargill in Havre Park.
So there's another Scargill.
There's another Scargill. That, I'm quite sure, is where Edward II stayed, and he then simply went from there to Skipton, which is a perfectly straightforward journey. But sorry, he was never at this Scargill. He was at the Scargill in Havre Park.
Oh dear. And the news just keeps getting worse. You've been saying to me for the last 36 hours, ooh, I'm not sure if there is anything medieval on this site.
It's inescapable. If you look at the pottery that we've got from this site, and there's very, very little medieval. I mean, a handful. But it's all 16th and 17th century, lots and lots of that.
Hang on, Mick. All through this dig, we've been saying, look, right behind us, we've been saying, oh, there's a big medieval wall there and a Tudor wall on top of it.
Yeah, but what we've really been saying is there are several phases of walling here, and the earliest one is big and blocky, and we've sort of assumed that's the medieval phase. Whereas actually, there's no reason why it all can't be 16th or 17th century. We've got no pottery indicating anything else.
So the walls that we've been calling medieval could be early Tudor walls, and the stuff we've been calling Tudor is late Tudor.
I think so. I don't see why it all shouldn't take place in the 16th and 17th century with nothing earlier.
Suppose you're wrong. Unlikely, I grant you.
No, I may well be. I may well be. But the sheer small quantities of medieval pottery makes me very, very wary. I just don't think it's here.
This isn't the sort of discovery we'd expected to make.
Well, they're all complaining in there about having no medieval archaeology.
What do they know, really?
But some of the team are determined to rescue the medieval heritage of Caroline's wedding present.
You look at this aerial photograph. The yellow line is the fortified manor and the blue area is the area of the barmkin. If you look all around, you've got plenty of evidence there for earthworks behind the farm over there of settlement grouping. There's another group where that farm is over there. If you put all that together, which I've done on this drawing here, that's all the classics of a medieval village underneath the protection of the fortified manor up on the hill, which is at one time. This is actually quite a big population actually down here. But now when you drive through it, it just looks like three farms. So we actually got a deserted medieval village next to a fortified manor. So clearly something changed here, and it went from being actually quite busy to actually being depopulated.
So basically we want to go across this bank.
But we need to find the archaeological evidence to confirm this medieval theory.
Bank and wall we want to look at.
So we're putting in one final trench to get to the bottom of Stuart's barmkin. Now there's a sentence you don't say every day.
So it's a substantial wall, or whatever.
We desperately need some pottery.
It's 3 o'clock, day 3, and Mick's just announced that we've only got 2 hours left to find datable evidence. So everyone's redoubled their efforts to look for pieces of pot, particularly Phil, who, after categorically, definitely announcing that he wasn't going to extend his trench anymore, has just extended his trench again. And it's that final push that makes all the difference. Because deep down in the trenches, a few archaeologically precious shards of pottery begin to appear.
Well, this is a nice big bit of chunky medieval jug handle.
And they aren't Tudor.
And it looks as if they've just overfired it a bit.
But it's still good to pour a bevy out of.
Have you sorted your cow burial out then, Ian?
Yeah, I think so. Right off the bottom, we've got a piece of what looks like a medieval pot.
Oh, yeah, that's OK, isn't it? It's green glazed on the one side. So at least the cow is post-medieval, isn't it?
Yep, at least, yeah.
Or put it another way, this medieval pottery is pre-cow. But it's still only one of a handful of pieces of medieval pottery on the site. Hardly evidence of 400 years of occupation. And Helen thinks she knows why.
I've brought out these 13th century finds because I think that they're illustrating the earliest part of the site that we can see so far. And it fits in incredibly well with the historical context because our first recorded person here, Warren de Scargill, is recorded in 1170. He seems to be the kind of founder of our dynasty. But only about 90 years later, a de Scargill marries a de Stapleton and moves away to the West Riding. And so we've got this enormous hiatus from about 1260 to about 1530. 1530 odd, we get Mary, who's she's a Scargill, but she marries a Tunstall, and she's the first female heir after the male line dies out. For some reason, she comes back and she lives here. She's buried in Barningham Church, and people are living here right up till, 1671. So the finds mirror the history really well.
Do you buy that now?
Yeah, I think I do. I mean, the picture's changed a lot in the last couple of hours. We've now got this 13th century pottery that goes that earlier phase.
So you've swallowed your doubts now, doubter boy?
Yeah, fairly clearly now there's something either on the site or very nearby that's producing this material. We've got our medieval period.
At last, this perplexing site is beginning to make sense.
That looks like a really good deep garden soil. Anything come out of it?
Yes, just a couple of pieces of pottery. Medieval pottery, actually.
And over in the last-ditch barmkin trench, we may indeed just have established that the medieval activity was based here on the plateau.
That's absolutely fantastic, because if they're 13th, 14th century pottery out of this soil against this wall, then that's got to be medieval in date. So, I mean, that seems absolute confirmation that this wall is the wall that goes round this platform, which has seemingly been called a pumpkin boundary, a bumpkin boundary, but in reality it's a barmkin, a wall going round the edge.
So it may be a bit of a stupid name, but this wall confirms Stuart's hunch that this plateau is a barmkin, the outer enclosure of a defended medieval manor house.
Right at the bottom of that wall, we found a 14th century sherd of pottery. It is the best piece of dating evidence you could possibly have.
But can we finally convince Mick that there was a medieval manor house inside it?
It means that this wall must be, at the very least, 14th century. You see, it comes along and actually turns here, and we've actually found that the wall continues through here. And in there, we've got a plastered room with a lovely cobbled floor. Then, when the Tudor period come along, what do? They built their Tudor fireplace on top of the medieval building, and they did the same thing there.
What do you reckon this medieval wall actually is, Mick?
I think what we're looking at is some sort of medieval tower house, so like a mini keep or something like that, rather than anything else.
Excuse me, is this the Professor Mick Aston who 3 hours ago told me there wasn't anything medieval on this site?
Well, we didn't have the evidence then, did we? No, he's just told us they found it.
And that crucial piece of evidence means the features in the other trenches fall into place.
Well, remember this morning we thought we might have one side of a door there?
Yeah.
There's the other side of it in there. Blocked up, though.
And more importantly, it means Caroline and Niall's conviction that medieval Scargill castle or manor did exist is totally vindicated.
This wall here, 1.5 metres, that's good stonking masonry. It's the sort of thing you expect from a medieval building.
Yeah.
And hopefully this is another entrance, perhaps a grand, quite formal entrance, running through to a paved area here.
Yeah, so what does that give us in terms of structure?
I think we've got a very large medieval building. These footings are good quality masonry.
Yeah.
I'd like to think it's a medieval hall, perhaps of a family who was slightly on the up at the time.
The massive walls of the Scargill Manor would have dominated this landscape in the 12th and 13th century, with a tower and gatehouse overlooking a vibrant and productive rural community. But thanks to the archaeological and historical evidence we've discovered, we know it was short-lived. The manor was abandoned, becoming a forlorn, run-down outpost of a family who'd moved to a richer environment further south. But this ancestral home was reborn and rebuilt as a grand Tudor manor, including a new gatehouse that has now survived for over 400 years. It's rather apt that a present from one archaeologist to another has also given our team one of its most rewarding digs, even if it was a bit of a roller coaster ride. Do you remember 3 days ago, the three of us were standing in that sheep pen and you said, oh, we think the medieval hall is here. And surprise, surprise, there was a medieval hall. How are you feeling?
It's absolutely brilliant news. What a marvellous present to be given, something that's been around for so long.
Yeah, a pretty dodgy wedding present, but we made it good for you, Niall.
You did indeed. A dodgy present, but it's got solid foundations.
Join Time Team on Patreon to access exclusive 3D models, masterclasses, and behind-the-scenes insights.